Hey everyone, Future Sai here. I just wanted to set the premise for this video to make sure that people were understanding of what exactly I was trying to achieve by this, because it is a behemoth of a video in the first place. The whole premise of this video is to give everyone the opportunity to see me in a transparent view, and also for me to actually be able to really think about who I am and what I do and want. The reality of the situation is, at the end of the day, we have to live with ourselves as human beings. That's the one thing that we all have to do for the rest of our lives. Just want to apologize as well for the length of the video, as I know it turns a lot of people away because it is so long, but there is an importance for it because I believe very strongly in being able to be critical of yourself in a constructive and healthy manner. That's what I was trying to say. I just also want to set the record as well. I do believe it's very important, and I'm very thankful that my close associates and friends and partner were able to tell me my pros and cons. Because, you know, that's what any sane person does. They go off and see what other people think of them. But with that being said, I'm going to let you, watch the rest of it, and hopefully, if just the insight into my personal being helps you to try and reflect on yours and to improve yourself and your skills and your career and your life in general. That's kind of the goal of this video. It's not an egotistical trip, trust me. I do not like making this video. With that being said, I hope you enjoy, and thanks for watching. And I'll see you right now. We as human beings are extremely complex creatures. There is no doubt about that. Our brains are the most complex things in the universe, and there are so many different possibilities to each and every single human being. I personally know so many extraordinarily talented people, and extraordinary people in general, from chefs to musicians to artists to authors. Hell, I basically know everyone or someone in some kind of mainstream profession that are just so amazing at their jobs. I know people who can create entire albums of music, or draw the most realistic cartoons or drawings or interpretations, that can create games from scratch, design entire universes in their head, and tell stories like you've never known through mediums of video and photo and sculptures and art and painting. I know basically one person, and my voice is cracking so much. I know people who are so amazing at what they do, and every different field there is of art or creativity. It is utterly amazing. But there's one thing that I've noticed throughout all creative fields, throughout all practices of work or art or anything like that, that is almost universal. A lot of us are afraid of transparency, but there's nothing wrong with privacy. Let me just preface that from the very start. A lot of people get stuck in a certain genre. A lot of people get stuck in a certain way of thinking that they forget who they are and how they should be themselves. And it does over time develop into a fear. That's very much true. The problem with this is the more that we act upon the act, the more we stray from who we are as ourselves, and there is a bit of a divide. Now, it's different if you are playing a character like an actor, but if you're someone who puts yourself out regularly for the public to view, you do have to be aware of those kind of things. When it comes to a lot of things, just being honest and open and transparent, as well as keeping your privacy, it makes life easier, and it makes your work easier as well. Life really is hard enough when you find something that works and you stick to it. But over time, you do change and you do adapt and you do develop. And I do think it's very, very important that you find out how to still be true to yourself and still be relevant in what you're trying to do. So one thing I reckon everyone should do is being able to be fully critical of themselves, and in the constructive way, to give yourself constructive criticism. And if you can't give yourself constructive criticism, have people around you that can. Because the only way we develop as human beings and in our art or in our talents is if we have people around us that can be straight, that can shoot right past the bull and just say, hey, you done screwed up, mate. Or you probably shouldn't have done that. What was your thinking around that? Explain it to me. Having people around you that will be honest with you and help you to be, and give you constructive feedback. and being able to take that constructive feedback as well. That's a very, very important thing. So over the last few months, I've been trying to figure out how exactly can I personally advance in my crafts and not give a damn about what anyone else thinks or says or, feels about me and my work, but at the same time taking that criticism to heart and figuring out how do I best do this. Over time, I realized that there's more about me than I personally thought. And that's usually the case until you have a good sit down and look at yourself in the mirror and be like, what am I doing? Who am I? And why am I doing this? You're not really going to progress much. You might make a lot of money, you might become famous and stuff like that, but you still have to live with yourself. That's the thing. So I did what any sane person would do. The people who have worked with me and been close with me, been my friends, and I have confided in, I asked them to give me a list of my cons. As in, the pros and cons of me. It's the brutal and honest friends that I have were so kind enough to to tell me my cons. Everyone should have a group of friends like this. Everyone should have a group of people that they can trust and that they can take feedback from and know that they're telling the truth. I have a good amount of flaws, to be fair. I am human. I mess up a lot. But I have a list of all my flaws. You want to hear them? Tough. You're going to hear them anyway. I get distracted easily if I believe it's not in my best interest. I have to be very into something for it to benefit me, and as a result, or those around me. If that's the case, then I don't really have an interest in it. I have difficulty focusing on it, and I get distracted very, very easily. I've struggled with that a lot. It is something that you do have to be honest with yourself if that's something that you struggle with too, because being distracted easily is not a good thing. Not when you have important things to do and you have responsibilities, because this is life. You're going to have responsibilities, you're going to have things that you have to do, and you have to pay attention to them so you do them properly. Otherwise you'll have to keep doing them over and over and over and over again. I have difficulty figuring out what to put my focus on. I have a lot of different interests, and a lot of different things that I want to try in my life. Examples would be I want to do blacksmithing, I want to do archery, I want to do rock climbing, I want to make documentaries, I want to attempt to make music, I want to do all these different things and see what I can do. The problem is I get so bogged down with not feeling a passion for things, thinking I want to do them when in reality it's just something I would like to do. So I have difficulty focusing on one main thing. I have difficulty finding a connection with what I need to work on. And that can be a major problem. Like a major, major problem. And I am slowly working on that, but it is still a major flaw when you're trying to create things. That's a real tough one right there. But this is the thing that everyone has turned around and said to me, is like, you need to just focus on something and do it. I think that's like most people, to be fair, but it is still a major one that I'm working on. I procrastinate a lot. Like a lot. I don't mean to, and I think this ties into the last two as well. The last two flaws. When I don't feel passionate about something, or I don't have like a responsibility to do it, I tend to procrastinate a lot. I end up making myself feel overwhelmed by things because I'm trying to focus on so many things at once. As a result, because of that, I procrastinate doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And as a result, I end up thinking, that would take up too much time so that I couldn't do this, and that would take up so much time that I couldn't do this. So I end up procrastinating and not ending up getting anything done. It's not a good sign at all. Still working on that one too. I do get the small things done, don't get me wrong. Procrastination can be used in a way to get all the tiny tasks done, but when you have a major project that you want to do and you procrastinate by doing the smaller projects, you never actually finish the big project. I've had one project on the back burner for over a year and I never actually started it. I did the script, I did the figuring out of it. Because my style changed, I never actually finished it. Because I knew it would take up so much time. which is something that I'm actually going to go back and do and try to figure out how to sort through this and to make it work. Because the project itself is actually very, very close to my heart, but it would take so much learning of different skills that I don't have, that I procrastinated so much over the past year and a half that I never actually even properly started it. Like I said, I did the script and everything, I just never created it or started to create it. So that's always been an issue. Speaking of too many projects, which again ties into everything else. I know this can all be associated in the one thing, but it would be a much shorter video if that was the case, and I wouldn't be fully honest with myself. Because you need to break down these things that you do feel are cons about yourself in order to progress and to make things much better. I spread myself so thin over so many different projects because I want to complete so much in such a short amount of time. And I give myself this impossible task that I want to complete all these different things, when in reality I know for a fact that I'm not going to be able to do all these things in one go. I have a limited lifespan, we all do. I'm not going to achieve everything that I want to achieve. But I still try to do it anyway. And I do need to realize that that's not going to work, and I need to focus on something and not spread myself so thin. I think at most I should focus on 2 projects at a time. Not obviously at the same time, but like maybe half a day work on one, or work on one day and then work on the next day. And that is a big con that I'm still working on. I miss deadlines a lot. I hate deadlines, I really do. I understand the purpose of them. At the same time, I do hate deadlines with a passion. I think most people hate deadlines. But the reason I hate deadlines is because I know for a fact that if I don't do the thing the perfect way, or want to do it in such a way that it seems perfect that I could have done, then it does annoy me, so I tend to put things off, and that tends to go into the procrastination thing as well. I do sometimes leave things to the last minute and then not be able to put things into a project that I wanted to in the first place, and that really gets me down, because no matter how much I work on something, I know for a fact that I'm going to leave things out. I either procrastinated, or I left things to the last minute, or I've crunched myself into a timeline or a deadline that I shouldn't have given myself. I should have just worked through it. And then it feels like at the very last minute I become lazy and just want it to be done. Perfection is paralysis, and I'm working on that too. I mean, it's funny, despite the fact I hate deadlines, I still give myself deadlines, and I still at the same time leave things to the last minute, which makes it worse for me. Not fun thing, not good thing. I sometimes stress over things that shouldn't really be stressed about. Sometimes I'll think of something, or see something, or realize something, and it will just get stuck in my mind that, you know, if I don't fix this, if I don't fix this, if I don't fix this, everything's going to be screwed. And that happens a lot in personal relationships, that happens a lot in, public things, it happens a lot in my work. Just everything I do stress about certain things a bit too much and shouldn't, and I know I shouldn't, and I tell other people that whenever they come to me about the same things that they shouldn't, but I do it anyway. Which leads us into the last point. I'm a hypocrite. I am a hypocrite. Oftentimes people come to me asking for advice. I'll give them the advice that I know that they should take to heart and do themselves, and I realize that a lot of that stuff that I tell them that helps them, I really should be doing as well. This one gets to me a little bit. I think most people are, to be fair. I'm not a hypocrite in a malicious way. It's more of, I know the things I should be doing and the things that I tell other people to do to help them, and I don't do it myself. I am working on that though. I have been trying to progress and be a better human. Now, here's the thing, right? I'm a human being. I'm not perfect. That's not an excuse though. That's by no means is that an excuse. But I do believe I'm a decent human being. So like any sane human being, and I mean this in the most least egotistical way humanly possible, I asked all my friends and the people close to me that I've worked with and that know me on a fairly deep, basic human level, the pros about me as well. The good thing about this is that those individuals know that I wasn't asking in an egotistical way. They know that I'm trying to improve myself. They know I'm making a video about this as well. So I figured, you know, what's the least egotistical way to go about saying some of the pros about yourself? I know, ask all your friends that you've just asked about the cons of you. And these are the responses I got. And to be fair, while I was writing this script, I was a bit of an emotional mess. Knowing how some people feel about me as a friend and being in their lives, it made me cry a little bit. I was trying not to whilst writing this script, but it's so heartwarming and wonderful. And I'm trying to say this in the most least egotistical way as well. I hate coming off as egotistical. So I'm just going to do this once, and this is the only time I'm going to do this on video. So these are the pros of me as a human being. I am persistent. This one I do agree with to a certain extent. When I get passionate about something, I just go after it, and I want to achieve it and I want to do it. But like I said earlier, whenever I don't have a passion for something, when I don't find a connection to something, I can't figure out a way to achieve it. But whenever I do become passionate about a subject or an object or, you know, a fandom or an interest, I become very passionate about it. Like, I will learn everything I need to know about it. I will figure out all the ins and outs of it. If it's a movie or a TV show, I'll figure out how did they do the jumps? Did they do the cuts? How did they do the, you know, the behind the scenes? I will learn everything I can about it because it entertains me so much. And when it comes to creating something, I'll go out of my way to write scripts for days to figure out the best way to put this into action when it comes to all these different things. You know, when I get a passion for something, I focus on it, and I focus on it intensely. Yeah, I do. When I get a passion for something, I love it. Not to the way where I can get burnt out on it, but rather it just becomes a part of me. And I honestly love that. I am adaptable. When I want to do something, and there are so many struggles and obstacles in the way, I do notice that I will see the end goal, and I will see the results of that goal, and I will go towards it. Like, this goes along with passion. I see something and know I can achieve it, then I will go after it. And if I'm working with with someone else and they are having so many different struggles and realizing that, okay, maybe I can't do this, then I will look at them, look at their skills, and then look at everything else and be like, look, if you figure out this little bit, you can do this. And I do that with myself as well. I do that with my projects and the things that I become passionate about. I am a very adaptable human being. And I've been into situations where they're obviously not the best, but I have made the most of them and made them into better things. So I don't disagree with that comment from my friends. I do think that is a wonderful trait that I've developed. And I'm glad I've developed it. And I'm glad it's not an egotistical thing. Because remember, these things that I'm saying about the pros of me, they're everything that's been repeated by everyone that I've asked. And I've asked about 7 to 10 people. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. I am generous. Email? I am generous, apparently. God, as much as I like knowing that there are positive attributes to my existence, it is very odd to say this on camera. But all of the people who know me have all said this. And my mother once told me, and this was like out of the blue saying it to me, and this has always stuck with me for some reason, but it was just such a random out of the blue moment. And it was, you're the kind of person that would give your shirt off your back to someone if you could. If that's all you had, you'd still do it. And truthfully, I do believe that. I do feel like that's the case. I don't have much. I've never really had much, but the things that I do have, I treasure greatly. But even then, I know that if someone else needs it, then I have no issue giving it to them. But I do that very specifically. I don't do it to everyone. I only do it to people that I know isn't going to take advantage of it. Because generosity can be taken advantage of, and I have been taken advantage of for my generosity. And I'm glad that I am like that, and I don't ever want to stop being like that. I always want to give people some kind of joy in their lives. But yeah, thanks guys. I'm very awkward right now. I don't like this. But this is important. This is an important video to make. I felt something about making this video, and I feel like I should. I am intelligent, apparently. This is something that I've been told for quite a long time from a multitude of different people. Not just from my friends when researching this video, but I've been told by old and young people that I've met throughout my life that I'm intelligent. Personally, I don't understand this one. I think there is a difference between having wisdom and intelligence. I just feel like I've made enough mistakes that I have some semblance of understanding with things, and maybe just learning constantly that it's helped develop that. I have a lot of people who do look up to me for advice and do look up to me in terms of wanting to do things, you know, whether it's a project or when they're writing something or when they're wording something or in their day-to-day lives. And people, they do come to me for advice, and this is young and old, or older. I do agree with this one, but I also disagree. So I'm very on the fence about this one, but apparently a lot of people think I'm intelligent. I have difficulty accepting this one, for obvious reasons, because I do a lot of stupid. But I always seem to have the right thing to say for people, so I suppose that counts? I don't know. I am resilient. Interesting one. Not something I would say. But it is what a lot of people have said to me as well. And it is a very, very interesting thing to say about yourself, to say that you are resilient. I mean, to be fair, I have been in a couple accidents involving cars and the like, where no one's gotten hurt. I've actually been thrown over a car bonnet before, where I basically did an action roll over the front of their car, and I was okay. I was perfectly okay. I didn't have any injuries. But I have had, you know, things happen to me mentally and spiritually and physically, that have made me resilient in a way. Like, I've had some crappy things happen to me personally, but that won't have an effect on the long run, but some things do have an effect on the long run, and for some reason I always get through them. Personally, I don't feel all that resilient. I always feel like I'm 2 steps away from falling apart. But, you know, from the outside perspective, that's usually how people are. You know, you look at someone who's strong-willed and then smart and intelligent or brave, and they're just as worried and confused as you are. So from the outside, apparently I'm very resilient, which I'm thankful people think that. I don't feel that, but that's usually how it is. But again, thanks guys. I always find some hope in the world. That's the thing. I always find some hope in the situation or in the resolution. I always think that there is some hope to be found. I always think that there is some light at the end of the tunnel, but that's usually from an understanding of how I view life. I view life as an ever-changing thing. It's an ever-changing monolith of chaos and destruction and beauty and serenity. And I think that once you accept that things are going to be different throughout your life, how you adapt to them and change with them, I think that is important. And that could very well be why people think I'm resilient. And I can understand that. And I appreciate it.
Oh, I spat on my computer. Sorry.
I am compassionate. This one I agree with. This is like one of the only ones I will agree with. My basic life philosophy is very, very simple. We all die. That is true. But whether it's a long or short time, all that matters is that every action, no matter how small it is, matters. Relatively speaking, that is. I mean, if you eat a burrito today, it's not like in 5 years' time you're going to have diarrhea as a result of it. I hope not. It stuck in me for 5 years, and then it took its revenge. I personally think the whole using other people in order to get ahead is not going to work in the long run. It might work in the short run, but it's not going to work in the long run. In the long run, you build relationships, you build friendships, you build community, you build friendship and trust, and those things serve you well throughout your life. Breaking trust and using people and all this different kind of stuff for your own gain always comes back around. And it's not that I believe in karma or something like that. It's look at history. Look at every single bad thing that's happened. Sometimes people get away with it. Sometimes people get away with bad things, yes. But the vast majority of the time, it comes back to haunt them. Being exposed to the world for all the things that you've done wrong, it's not new. And it will come back to haunt you, or those around you, or those who have been affected by it, and I do not think it's a smart way to live. I think if you're going to get ahead, if you're going to have success in your life, in your relationships, in your business, whatever it is, you do need to build trust. You do need to build honesty. You do need to build compassion, in a sense. Because being open and honest and compassionate will help you throughout the long run. And that's very, very important. To me, anyway. To me, it's very important to me. I don't know how important it is to anyone else. I don't know. Quite frankly, I don't give a damn either. I am hardworking. This one makes me feel like a hypocrite because of the cons earlier. You remember those? I know I have a procrastination issue. I know I have a focus issue, but whenever I do manage to maintain a focus on something, when I do manage to maintain a passion on something, I can work for days or weeks at a time on one thing. An example would be whenever I went for my car license. Well, I'm still going for my car license, but when I was going for the theory test for it, I have 2 more lessons to do before I can actually go for the driving test and obtain my license. But when I was going for the theory, I got the mock disc where you have all the questions and you do mock tests and stuff. In the theory test, the mock test, I did 116 mock tests. I passed 106 of them, and I aced 19 of them with an average of 37 out of 40 for each one. Now, just to give some background into this, each mock test took around 10 to 30 minutes with a time limit of 40. That's between 20 to 58 hours in less than a week, specifically on this commitment. I'm happy to say that I passed my theory test with 1 question wrong. And I had basically all the information fused into my brain as well. So this one I can personally understand. Whenever I find something that I'm focused on, when I'm encouraged and passionate about, I go all in and I can really, really work on something until I become, you know, just a pile of ooze on the floor of just worked out existence. But I love it. I enjoy it. Once I find something I'm passionate about and I love to do it and I'm focused on it, I can work. Like, I can really work. And I have found this with manual labor as well, which is really weird. I remember working on a bog and I worked until I got sunstroke. I didn't realize I got sunstroke at the time, but I really worked my ass off. That was like possibly like 3 days worth of 10, 12 hour, work, lifting like 10 to 20 kilos at a time, like consistently from the bog to the trailer. And oh my word, when I work on something and I want to do it, holy crap, can I work? I'm a multitasker. When I do work on things that I want to work on, I'm always working on at least 1 to 3 things. And to a lot of people, that may seem counterproductive. If I'm working on something, like when I was working on the script for this right now, I was listening to music, I was talking to 2 different people, I was working on this script, and I was also trying to figure out how to say it, how to edit it, and how to compose it into a video all at the same time. So I was doing quite a lot. Those are all interconnected with each other in a way, but at the same time, it's still, there's a lot of multitasking in there. When I'm focused on something, I can do that. If I'm not focused on something, it distracts me. So it's a pro and a con in a way, to be fair, but it's mostly a pro whenever I'm passionate about something. I am dependable. This is something everyone has said to me. If someone asks me to do something, I'll do it. If I feel I can, that is. If I don't feel I can do it, or I don't feel up to it, I will say straight off the bat, but I do my best to help people in any situation. If they need moving out, if they got sick, if they need some work done, if they need a video done, if they need a boot up the ass, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'm always there. I've told my friends constantly, I'm here 24/7 if you need me, and if there's anything I can do, tell me. And if I'm not able to do it, I'll tell you. But if I'm not able to do it, I'll always know someone who can do it. So it's, it's a trade-off in a way. But I do agree with this one. I pride myself on my dependability, without a doubt. The last 2 things are actually kind of the same one. I'm always willing to learn, and I'm always open to new things. I love learning. I have gotten a few books to help me learn about all sorts of different things, from business to life to figuring yourself out to all these different kind of things. I love learning about things that interest me. I went on a huge binge a couple months ago figuring out how castles were made in the Middle Ages, and there is a wonderful documentary series called Secrets of the Castle, and I love it. It's so much fun. Or Tony Robinson's Time Team, or the most horrible jobs in history. I love learning about history. I love learning about all these different things. I love learning about photography, videography, editing, documenting, all this different kind of stuff. I love to learn how to organize things. I am very open to new things and new ideas. I don't think I've ever refused a new idea or an option in the last year. Within reason. If I feel it's not something that personally interests me, then I'll say, nope, I can't do it. I don't want to do it. But if I have a slight interest in it, I'll look into it. And I've exposed myself to things that I personally in the past thought I would never do, or think of, or watch, or listen to. However, 2 shows that I have gotten into recently that I never thought I would get into is Ghost Hunters and Supernatural. And I love them. I love them so much. I would honestly love to meet Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles. Really would like to, but not going to hold my idols up to a high standard. That's not something you should do. Oh, another email. But before, I honestly thought that they were, shows that teenage girls watched or something like that. But in reality, I've opened my eyes to watch things that I never thought I'd watch, to listen to songs I never thought I'd listen to, and I just love so many different creative aspects and things now, and it's wonderful. But that's basically the last pro about me that I'm ever going to talk about for a long time. Oh, also I love the X-Files. Yeah. It's quite fun. I love it. Never thought I'd watch it until a couple of years ago. Then I got into it, and then I really like it. I also got into reading books. I love books now. I really love books. So much information and knowledge and wonderful stories. But those are the pros and cons about me. Obviously, this might not have been the most exciting video, but I think it's very important for me to create. These are the things that the friends that I have said about me. This isn't something that I've come up and said like, oh, I'm great, or I'm wonderful, or I'm terrible, or I'm hateful, or something like that. These are all things that, this is the list that my friends gave me and I've compiled together. And I've tried to understand it and tried to work it so that I could speak it to you with some kind of understanding or knowledge from myself. I do have a lot to work on, to be fair. But I think it's very important for everyone to have a group of friends or individuals that can be honest with them and have no issue with saying, you know, the truth about you. I think it's very important for any creative to, or any person in general, to take that kind of criticism and that kind of love and admiration and use it in your work. Use it in everything that you do and to be the better version of you. I think that's very, very important, and I don't think that this can ever be a bad thing. It can only be bad if you refuse it. You know, if you find people that are truly honest and want you to be better at who you are, you're going to have no issue with this, unless you're very bad at taking criticism. And that's something that you should probably work on. I've worked on that. I used to be very bad at taking criticism. I used to get offended and annoyed and hurt all the time. And I realized, look, maybe there's truth to what they're saying. Maybe you should look into this. Maybe you should look at yourself in the mirror. And I think it's important. I think it's very important for everyone to do this. And I hope that it's giving you the opportunity to look at yourself and to realize, yeah, I have insecurities, I have problems, I have issues. I can work this out. And also see how other people see you as well. Because I think that's important. And it's not so much that it's for egotistical reasons, but more for you becoming a better version of yourself. You know? But I'm not going to lie. I am damn proud of who I am. I used to be much different. And the friends that I have, the people that I've talked to, the things that I've worked on, the things that I've learned have helped make me who I am today, and I'm very, very thankful and proud of who I am today. So I think it's important to be able to say that about yourself. And if you're not able to say that about yourself, I think you should be able to work on that. Find a way to be able to be that way about yourself. Because you have to live with you at the end of the day. You have to live with yourself. So if you're the best possible version of yourself, you have nothing to worry about. Now, with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up here. So I ask all of you, are you proud of who you are? Are you happy about who you are as a human being? And if not, why? And what are you doing to change it? How can you change it? I think that's an important question to ask, so I'll leave it on that. Hopefully as well, this helps you be a bit more transparent with your creations, with your viewers, with, you know, people who view your work, or just in general, with yourself, your relationships, your family, whatever the case is. Hopefully it helps you be more transparent and more honest and more open with yourself and others, and hopefully it helps you. Hopefully this of one person being very transparent and open on the internet allows you to be the same. Hopefully it also doesn't come across as egotistical, because that's not what I'm hoping for here. Not at all. This was not me, this was everyone else, and me just trying to understand it and speak it to you. So, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like the video, then please like it and subscribe, and I should hopefully see you next week. I hope. No, I need to come up with another video idea. As for now, all the best, and I'll see you later. Bye!